Well, some of you guys remember the 812 I was trying to save a couple months ago. I never finished that project, so what we actually got to do is take the gas tank out and replace all the fuel lines, and then we can see if this bad boy will run. So, you know, the bolts that hold it on down here are really rusty and crusty, so hopefully we can get those stupid nuts off and see what we can do. Well, it's actually not that bad. The gas line is still flexible. I don't think it's dry rotted or anything, but I'm going to replace it anyways. The knob on the bottom of the tank is frozen, so I'll see if I can get that with a pair of pliers or something. And the fuel line itself is really rusty looking, and I may just keep it. I don't know. Probably be smart just to replace it, but you know, usually I make them out of brake line. I don't know if I actually have any brake line, so I got to check that, but I'll see if we can free up that part. And there's a little tiny bit of old gas in this tank that we'll have to drain out of there. Not a lot, just like maybe there's a ½ inch on the bottom or so. So we'll see what we can do. Well, I was able to free up the valve, but it's totally clogged, so I'm going to try to blow in it with this compressor. Yeah, it's not going in. It's got blow back. So I think that I got it might have just freed up. Yeah, well anyways, I can take it off, and it's probably all clogged up with a bunch of crap, so I got this part moving, so that's positive, but there's usually a metal screen in there, and it's probably all plugged up with junk. So I'll put this hose back on there, and I'll just blow in it with my mouth and see if it's free or not, and we'll go from there. Well, the whole outlet here, the plug, is totally clogged solid with crap, so I think I'll take like a little finishing nail or something and jam it in there and get that crap freed up, and then I'll try to hose it out with some carb cleaner or something, see if we can get it freed up. You can actually take the nut off this side and pull the whole guts out if necessary to clean it even more, but the screen on the top really isn't broken or anything, so I think we're okay up there, so we'll see what we can do. Well, I ended up taking the back off and it's plugged solid, so I worked this finish nail through there, and it's all full of just old varnished up gas that's hard as a rock, so I'll just work that in there a few more times and spray some solvent in there and see if we can get it out 100%, and then we should be good, I think. Well, I got about 0 in the flow coming out of this tank here, so I think what I'm going to do is pull that nipple back out and put it in my carb cleaner dunk tank overnight. And there's probably some kind of crap stuck in the screen area that I just can't get to physically, so maybe that will dissolve it overnight. I'm trying to be cheap and not put a new valve on there because they're expensive, and the stupid tractor is not worth a lot of money, and I've got twice into it already than what it's worth, so I don't really want to put any more dollars in it if I could help it, so we'll see what we can do. Well, for those of you that don't know how the gas line works on these things, there's a metal piece that goes around the block down to the fuel pump, and then there's a little plastic line that connects to that, and that goes up a metal rail like all the way to the front of the tractor to where the gas tank is. And I can see back here that this thing is plugged up with some kind of crap. Looks like some kind of nest or something, like it's a bug related thing. But anyways, I'm gonna just cut this with a pair of clippers here, and I'm gonna try to blow up the tube all the way to the front and see if it's clogged or not. And then all I really got to do is replace this little piece of tubing here that's about 8 or 10 inches and replace the little piece in the front, and I should be okay. So I'll just snip this off and we'll see what we got. Well, interesting enough, I snipped it off and the whole thing is packed solid with old fuel, and it's, you know, solid. Like it's all, it looks like it's brown crap, like it's dirt or something. That's kind of crazy, but maybe I gotta snip it back a little farther and see what we got. Let's see what we got back here. We got more of that. Yep. The whole thing is full of that shit. So I think I should just cut my losses on this fuel line and... Oh, there we go. It just shot like a plug out the other end, so I can hear it flowing freely up there now. I guess my biggest concern is that if the line is full of some crap that's like rust or something like that, is it all going to come down into the carb and clog up the carb, you know? But I'll think I usually put a cheap fuel filter back here because the original ones really don't have a fuel filter back here. They just rely on that screen that's in the tank, which isn't really the smartest thing in the world to do. So I'll take the rest of this line off, back to the steel line here, and it's not hard to bend a new line. It's actually very simple. So if I had to do that, I had to do it, but you can see how crusty the outside of this line is. I assume that the inside is similar. Usually I do make a new line like I was saying, but I just want to see if I can get this thing driving first, and then we can always make a line later on. So we'll go from there. Well, the inside of the line really doesn't look bad, believe it or not. So I think we should be good, just replacing the rubber parts on here, and we'll see what we got. Well, this should do the trick. So we'll put this in there with this nice new fuel filter and hose clamps, and I'll reuse the old clamps over here because they were still okay. And we got to rebuild the line that goes from the carburetor down to the fuel pump. And I don't even know if the fuel pump works. For all I know, it doesn't work. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Well, it's amazing how brittle these old fuel lines get. This thing is like hard as a rock. I mean, I can't even flex it one bit. This was the piece that goes from the carb down to the fuel pump, and it's just like totally petrified. You see the nice new rubber is flexible and pliable. And when I get this fuel line, I just go to Napa. It's 1/4-inch fuel line for low pressure application. It's not made for fuel injection, so it's a lot cheaper. The fuel injection stuff for high pressure is very expensive. But I'll just cut a length of this, and then we'll be in good shape.